Okay, we're ready to go.
All right. Okay, now you're good to go.
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking part in our virtual media briefing regarding the City of Dallas response to the winter storm we're now experiencing. I'm Rick Erickson, Deputy Director of the Communications, Customer Experience, and 311 departments. I'll be moderating this call, and Claudia Torrescano will be available for Spanish interviews and translations. We will also post updated city information on dallascitynews.net and our social media sites. Now let's get some updates from our key city departments, and then we'll open up the lines for media questions. Dallas Manager of Public Information Jennifer Brown will announce each media organization in the order of registration. If you have any follow-up questions that we don't get to, please email those to us at media@dallas.gov. First up is Kevin Oden, the Director of Emergency Management and Crisis Response.
All right. Thank you, Rick, and good afternoon, everyone. As was said, Kevin Oden, Director of Emergency Management and Crisis Response here at the city. I want to start by, again, recognizing and thanking our mayor and city council for their support and leadership, as well as City Manager Tolbert for her leadership and empowerment throughout this event. Just some quick highlights to provide to you all. Internally, as the event has started, we have processed 2 resource requests. Both of these resource requests are related to supporting the Office of Homeless Solutions shelter operations alongside our partners at Austin Street, Our Calling, and others. Last night, staff here at the city provided shelter to almost 1,000 persons, and this number is expected to grow as the event evolves, and so we want to recognize the tremendous work that whole team is doing. Secondly, we are monitoring all of our 311 calls. Those can help give us a good indication of what's going on, and we presently have 2 concerns related to heating and multifamily properties. Our code compliance department is currently responding to those, so we're good on that front. And then third is traffic. So over the last 24 hours, the city has worked 27 traffic incidents. In the past 4 hours, though, our volume of traffic accidents is roughly double what it normally would be on a typical day. So we still encourage folks, if you don't have to be out, don't go out, and to take your time, travel safely, and especially if you see emergency crews or our sanding and ice operations, please slow down as you go around them. In my ongoing conversations with Encore, they have provided us some additional updates regarding power reliability in Dallas. So the latest update I've gotten is there's been very limited impact on power. There's only 69 customers that are currently without power. And then Encore has also conveyed that their crews are dispatched to get service restored. And additionally, they have other crews in capacity here in the region to work on a 24-hour basis. Lastly, Encore has prioritized all of our critical sites for this event, including our inclement weather shelters, that if there are any disruptions to power, that service will still remain on there. Finally, I just want to talk quickly about one of the tools we're leveraging that's new for this event. We've married up our traffic and our weather monitoring system. What this allows us to do is look at traffic accident locations, traffic volume, as well as precipitation data all in one. We use this to proactively identify hotspots, provide that information to our ICE Force teams. They can go out and scout if additional sanding is possible. So we're using all of that data all at one time to make better decisions on where we need to deploy resources to help keep the roads safe, both for our responders as well as for our residents. Our departments are now going to provide additional detailed updates on their specific operations. I appreciate everybody's continued engagement and for helping us share the critical messages to the public Rick, we'll move forward with department briefings and then we'll be ready for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Next up is Gus Concari from the Transportation and Public Works Department and Tina Richardson.
Thank you, Rick. Gus Concari, Director of the Department of Transportation and Public Works. So on the transportation operations side, we've got less than 10 traffic signals on flash or out. So staff is attending to that. And then we had, as a result of accident, one pedestrian pole being hit and damaged. So we're going to attend to that. On the roadway side, Assistant Director Tina Richardson will provide additional details, but in general, we have been sending critical locations as well as trouble spots, and staff has been operating on 12-hour shifts. So with that, Tina, if there's anything else that you would like to add, please go ahead.
Thank you, Gus. You said it perfectly. We're seeing little accumulations in the areas, but we received a lot of calls in the southwest part of town, the Oak Cliff area. We still have 50 trucks that are out monitoring the roads along with us and DWU. We're sending these areas as needed. We received several calls from other city departments wanting facilities sanded, along with requests for critical areas. So we are continuously monitoring these areas, and we will be throughout the night. Thank you. Thank you, Gus.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Tina and Gus. Next up is Lauren Rounds with the Department of Aviation. Okay, we'll come back to Lauren. Next is Christine Crossley with the Office of Homeless Solutions.
I'm sorry, I thought I heard someone.
We did. Let's go ahead and hear from Lauren, and then we'll go to Christine.
I'm sorry, I thought I started, but I'll start over. First and foremost, Dallas Love Field is open and operational. Both runways and applicable taxiways have been pre-treated by our teams, as well as terminal spaces like our sidewalks and adjacent roadways. And all surfaces will continue to be monitored throughout the event for further treatment as needed. In anticipation of the weather, our airline partners began adjusting their flight schedules as of yesterday. So last night, we started seeing a lot of cancellations coming in for the next day or so. As always, passengers should check directly with their airlines for flight statuses and assistance with rescheduling. All of our critical airport staffers are on site and will remain on site 24/7 throughout the event. If you are coming to the airport, please drive safely and give yourself plenty of time to travel. We recommend arriving at least 2 hours before departure. Safety remains the utmost priority for our staff and passengers, so we advise everyone to be vigilant and patient and look out for those around them. For continued airport updates, follow our social media pages at Dallas Love Field on all major platforms. Thanks.
Thank you, Lauren. Now we're going to go to Christine Crossley with the Office of Homeless Solutions.
Thank you, Rick. Good afternoon, everyone. As of this morning, we are now sheltering 1,268 individuals at Grand Place at Fair Park. It's 793. At the Tower Building at Fair Park, it's 205. And at Austin Street 2, which is 2929 Hickory Street, it is 270 individuals. We also have a total of 13 animals, 4 cats and 9 dogs. We are accepting pets at all temporary inclement weather shelter locations, so please do not think that that is a barrier to coming in. Our pickup zones continue. The pickup times are between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. And 311 can be contacted between the hours of 5 a.m. and 10 p.m. We are specifically looking for a cold weather sheltering request via 311. We have ceased all other activities and are just focusing on 311 inclement weather shelter requests from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Call 911 to receive assistance with transportation during inclement weather. There are transportation zones for the regular transportation being done through our partners at Austin Street and across the region that are on our website, dallascityhall.com, Homeless Solutions, and the list of pickup zones is there. There's also a list of recreation centers that have cold weather packs. We encourage everyone to come inside. It is the best chance for survival. But if you are refusing to come inside, cold weather packs can be gathered at one of those listed locations, which include a Mylar blanket, gloves, hat, socks, and hand warmers. We also have multiple volunteer opportunities. These for temporary inclement weather shelter, whether it's time or effort that you want to give, plenty of things you can do. For more details, please contact us at ohsvolunteer@dallas.gov. Austin Street Center also has volunteer opportunities, which Daniel Roby, the president and CEO of Austin Street, will share in a minute. Very, very happy to have him here with us. Austin Street is the contractor for Office of Homeless Solutions, City of Dallas, who carries out all of the inclement weather activities. So we're very happy about that. Before I hand it off to Daniel, I just want to say that this is a really great opportunity for us because we have people who come in who we would not normally reach, who are emergency shelter resistant. And we are using this time to really focus on housing as many of them as we can. And that is something that, because we have the contract in place with Austin Street, his team is able to focus on with an exclusive team that does that. So Daniel, do you want to turn your camera on and talk a little bit more about that and some other items?
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Good. Yeah, so Austin Street's coordinating inclement weather shelter across the sites with help from many, many different partners. We do still very much need volunteers, so encourage people to use the website that Christine mentioned, also austinstreet.org, clicking Volunteer Now button. We would love for people to volunteer at any of our shelter locations. In terms of transportation, we have both a 40-passenger bus and a 25-passenger bus that's currently making routes at the designated locations that were mentioned. Both these vehicles have wheelchair accessibility as well, so that is not a hindrance of getting people to shelter from those pickup locations. Important to know, we have a placement team at every location as well that's working on trying to figure out how to end homelessness for as many as the people as we can during inclement weather shelter, knowing that many people seek shelter during inclement weather where they otherwise may not. So there's teams that have made already 36 placements have happened at Grand Place. We have several more happening at Austin Street as well. We are still could use in-kind donations of blankets, so those can be received at 1717 Jeffrey Street between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. That's all the information that I have today, unless there are any questions.
Rick, we'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you, Christine. Next is Paul Ramon, who is the Director of Dallas Animal Services.
Director Ramon, Dallas Animal Services. Some of the key highlights for DAS is that we would ask that, if possible, owners of pets keep them indoors during these low temperatures. Report outdoor pets without shelter to 311 under the animal lack of care weather service request type. Animal services officers are responding to calls 24 hours daily and will address and educate owners per the code. DAS is currently closed to the public for adoptions. However, we are here to assist in any owner reunifications if necessary, process online adoptions, fosters and rescues, and to intake any strays that are sick or injured between the hours of 11 to 5 p.m. After those hours, please call 311. Since the incident has begun till, I'd say, 2:30 this morning, our DAS officers have responded to 796 calls. 140 of those have been weather-related calls. So our officers are out there educating the public, and so far, any citizens that have been found to be in violation have corrected those issues, and while the officers were on scene. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Next is Cliff Gillespie of Dallas Sanitation Services.
Good afternoon, Cliff Gillespie, Director Sanitation. So due to the deteriorating street and alleyway conditions in neighborhoods, all Thursday collection routes were suspended as of 11 a.m. We've advised our customers to leave their carts at the collection point, and our crews will attempt to collect these carts on Friday or Saturday as conditions allow. For our Friday customers, they may place their carts at their collection point as well, but we do ask them to be aware that the collection may be significantly delayed or postponed this week. That's all I have. I do continue to encourage our customers to check with city information sources regularly for any further updates that may come from sanitation. Thank you.
Thank you, Cliff. Now we're going to check in with the Dallas Police Department and Assistant Chief Terrence Rhodes. Let's go to Assistant Chief Scott Payco of the Dallas Fire Department, and we'll come back to Chief Rhodes.
Good afternoon. I'm Scott Payco, Interim Assistant Chief, Dallas Fire Rescue. We continue to monitor the situation, understanding we have cold weather plans and procedures in place that we've had since Tuesday that we continue to follow. These are for enhanced operations, which include collaborative efforts with the Water Department for cutoff water calls, transportation for understanding the critical areas of sanding that we need to pay attention to, Public Works with our saw crew to ensure that we have safe and effective routes, and also Office of Homeless Solutions as we continue to assist with the after-hours transport of people in need for shelter. To this point, we have assisted in the transportation for a total of 48 individuals that are after hours to get them to shelters and allow for a sheltering aspect of their time frame. We also continue to maintain awareness and readiness and ensure situational awareness for our members that are out there working and looking out for our residents as well as our personnel and their exposure to the weather. We will continue to monitor this as this time frame moves on, and we are ready to respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. In place of Dallas Police Assistant Chief Rhodes, Major Nathan Sawyers is here in our command center.
Good afternoon, Nathan Sawyers of the Dallas Police Department. We remain staffed and ready to respond to calls. We'll continue to monitor the calls, make sure that we have adequate staffing, and monitor the roadways for any assistance needed. Thank you.
Okay, and then last is Daisy Fast, who's the Director of Communications, Customer Experience, and 311 to discuss 311 operations.
Good afternoon. I would like to remind everyone that Dallas 311 is here 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist you with requests for city services and the latest city information. Our call volume right now is very manageable. Callers are not experiencing any hold times right now as 311 agents are answering all calls within 16 seconds on average. Our top calls related to inclement weather are related to concerns for pets and animals that are outside in these conditions, and also inclement weather shelter transportation requests for our homeless population. Dallas customers are encouraged to continue to contact 311 during this time to report these and other city concerns via the free Dallas 311 mobile app or by calling 311 directly. Also, please continue to monitor the City of Dallas's homepage, dallas.gov, for the latest updates. Thank you, and back to you, Rick.
All right, thank you, Daisy. Now, Jennifer Brown will call on media outlets in the order of their registration.
Thank you. Thank you all for attending today, and thank you to the City of Dallas for all of your work. I will start off here with the first organization on the registration list, NBC News. Do we have a representative from NBC News with an inquiry today? All right, we'll come back on a second round and see if we have the representative joined us at that time. Next on the list, KRLD, please. KRLD, Fox 4. Okay, I see mic not working. No question. Thank you so much. So continue on. News Nation. All right, it looks like we just need to unmute some of the participants here as they're being called on. So we have Brandon Snowden, News Nation.
Okay, so they've all been unmuted now.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to go back to LP Phillips. From KRLD. Well, you should have the ability to go ahead and pose your question here. If you are muted.
You there?
Yes.
All right, you finally unmuted. Okay. I have two questions, please. The first one is for Kevin. Kevin Oden. Kevin, you said something that caught my attention. You said you monitor the traffic and the weather, then you send trucks out to wherever they need. Is that how you find hotspots? I find that kind of interesting. Can you go a little further in depth on that?
Yeah, so I appreciate the question. So number one is, in addition to that, let's start from the top. We've got years of knowledge as well as years of mapping, of scouting hotspots. And starting last night, we had 20 trucks assigned just to scouting. Those operations continue. But in addition to that, we want to be responsive to any areas that become slick quickly. And so that's why we're marrying up as much data as we can with the weather forecast so that we can deploy trucks as needed. So it's a bit of a two-part solution to the challenge, but one that we're currently seeing is operating. Now, let me pause there and see if Director Concarly wants to add to that at all. You want to add to any of the standing operations, sir?
No, I mean, just again, you covered it. So we do have we're marrying up, like you said, the old data and putting it on the map so that we have a pretty good idea to optimize the use of the resources.
Okay, just to make sure though, you see something on a map that looks like a lot of accidents, and you just send somebody there. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, so essentially we're scouting out areas where traffic accidents are occurring, where we see a lot of precipitation all at once. That tells us let's scout that area, and if we need to serve that area, let's do it.
Okay, thank you. The second question, this will be my final one for Laura Rounds from Love Field. When we're talking about the number of cancellations we're seeing now and the number of delays, is that because of the conditions at Love Field, or is that because of conditions at other airports that are in bad weather and it's trouble getting planes in and out from here?
So again, our responsibility is treating the pavement and making sure the airfield is safe and operational, and we're maintaining that responsibility. So it could be a number of factors impacting their flights. It can be their starting destination or their end goal. It's just varying factors that might impact their flight load. It could be staff. It could be different reasons.
But it is not the conditions out at Love Field itself. The runways are clear and everything's fine there. There's no problem out at Love Field.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you for those questions. And I'll start back at the top again, since I know we had some problems with the mute button. First on the list, NBC, please.
Hey there, no questions. We're good.
Thank you so much. Did I have News Nation on the line? Okay, I will move on next to KERA. Any questions from KERA?
No questions right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Spectrum News. Telemundo?
Yes, hello, Carlos Zapata from Telemundo here. Somebody can reply this question about what's going on in Oak Cliff. I heard someone mentioning that there are some travel areas in Oak Cliff. Can you clarify that? Thank you.
Areas in Oak Cliff, someone mentioned.
Oh, yes, Jennifer, I mentioned that. Can you hear me? Yes, we've been sanding. We got a lot of requests for sanding of the bridges. We got a few locations in Oak Cliff, Illinois, Beckley, Marsalis that we sanded. We got a special call for, but overall it's for the bridges and the overpasses in Oak Cliff.
Okay, thank you for the question. Moving on next to, I have.
And for Telemundo, if they need any additional information, they can contact me, and we'll be available or send any questions via text. Yes.
Thank you so much, Claudia. Yes, Spanish interviews are available. Thank you, Claudia. Next on the list, I have KLIF, 570 KLIF.
Yeah, this is Clayton Neville with KLIF. I was just wondering if there was somebody probably with the Homeless Solutions Office who could answer, as the shelters remain open and this event continues, especially with the cold temperatures, what are some of the resources or just needs that may be available from the public? Are there any needs from the public as far as volunteers or food, or what are the logistics there as this thing continues?
Thank you for that question. Absolutely. We have two methods of getting volunteers. You can email ohsvolunteer@dallas.gov. And, there are plenty of things in terms of volunteering on site. I know we need larger adult coats for men. We have a lot of female coats, but not as many male coats. We also need people to cover food for volunteers and staff. And then, of course, there are the larger asks for food for individuals who are unsheltered. And I know, Daniel, if you can jump on, you had a few specific things as well that you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, we would appreciate blankets as well. So the in-kind donations of blankets would be useful. Those can be dropped off at Austin Street, which is 1717 Jeffrey Street, at 75226, between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m.
And then, of course, Dallas Animal Services, I'd be remiss if I didn't shout them out, is also working with us, and they're working with SPCA. So you could check with them if anyone has a particular interest around pets. And just a general shout out to all of our volunteers. We're very grateful for everyone who's making this possible.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Next on the list, Univision, please.
Yes, hi, this is Miguel Ángel Piñero with Univision, and I wonder if we can get a little more details about those 29 accidents last 24 hours. I mean, maybe the most critical areas, maybe injured, transportations. Can we get a little more on that? And y si podemos recibir la respuesta también en español, I really appreciate it as well.
Follow up and send that to him.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Do you have that 29?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
I'll just answer quickly and just translate. Yes, thank you for the question. We'd be happy to provide additional specific information at the conclusion of this call. What I will say is that the numbers we see, the accidents are generally spread out amongst the city. We do see them concentrated mostly on major thoroughfares. And so we're working them again as we normally would with normal procedures and have the resources in place to address that. And at the conclusion of this, we'll follow up with more specific information.
Y referente a los accidentes que se están presentando a través de la ciudad, bueno, es en diferentes partes de las mismas y hay no hay definitivamente algunos puntos de concentración, pero están todos los recursos han sido desplegados para poder ofrecer el apoyo. Cualquier detalle que se ofrezca, estamos a la orden. Al final puedes enviar un mensaje o nos podemos conectar para proporcionar mayores detalles. Gracias.
Thank you, Claudia. Next on the list, I have Dallas Morning News.
Hey, everybody. It's Everton Bailey from the Dallas Morning News. I just have two quick questions related to the city's homelessness response. Can y'all give an update on the maximum capacity for each of the temporary weather shelters? And then my second question is for Daniel Roby at Austin Street. You mentioned that some people who are unhoused are being helped into getting stable shelter. So I was hoping if you could elaborate on that process. Are they going to be, for example, moved to a hotel once the temporary shelter closes and then then into an apartment? What's the process there?
So yes, as of today, we're at about 69%. So we are really not worried about reaching capacity. We have plenty of space within the 3 shelters that we have going, so we don't anticipate needing to expand to a 4th. Daniel?
Yeah, so the placement services process, it works a little bit different by location, but essentially there's teams that do this for a living. So they're dedicated to making sure we can find permanent placements. And it's not uniform. So it is not like uniform strategy where we would move people to a hotel and then follow up with them later. It's more case by case. So these are case managers, social workers who, meet with the clients, try to identify, what their unique needs are. They may be able to find a placement, for example, if they have a medical issue and need some type of long-term care setting. They may be able to support people who are interested in addiction treatment and would like to go to an inpatient treatment program. And there are some people who may be able to qualify for housing. Sometimes that may mean immediate housing that's available through our homeless services continuum of care, or it may be something we're able to divert somebody with a little bit of resources that we have from our diversion program that, again, is a program that's been in existence kind of throughout the homeless services continuum. So all those different things happen, just depends on the individual and what we have available to us in terms of resources.
Just a quick follow-up there, and I appreciate the answer. Are people going to be sent back outside until y'all have something for them? What happens once they leave the temporary shelters? I know you said it's case by case basis, but what's the range of options once they leave the shelter this weekend or next week?
Well, very proud of our continuum, generally speaking. So like nationally, homelessness has gone up more dramatically in the past 2 years than ever in recorded history since 2007. So Dallas is doing far better than the rest of the country in terms of our ability to respond to homelessness. That said, we still have an estimated about 1,500 people in our point in time count. We'll serve approximately that many people now, so we know we have at least that many, if not more. And with those numbers, certainly many people, when the weather improves, will choose to go back to their encampments wherever those may have been, or they may shelter at a new location based upon their choosing. Our focus at this point in time is really about life-saving critical care, making sure that people live until the end of the storm for us to be able to follow up with them. And the good news is that everyone who goes through any of the inclement weather shelters are put into the homeless management information system, which gives us the ability to reach out later. It also gives us the ability to begin an engagement process with them and know who is in our community and what their needs are. So that's a step forward. Certainly, we have a long way to go, and we won't be able to find a permanent placement for all 1,500 plus individuals, but we're doing making those placements for as many as we can.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list, Fox 4 News. All right, double checking with CNN. Do we have a question from CBS Texas? How about D Magazine? Okay, that's the list of everyone that has registered. So I will open it up now in case there's a question from an outlet that was not registered prior to receiving this list. Any additional questions, please?
I did have a question on DART. I know that, some people, you mentioned there were some protocols for the roads and for accidents, but I'm wondering if there's any for the DART tracks, people that are going to be using those trains right now.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So those would typically be managed by DART. Obviously, we have a direct line to them. I've spoken to them this morning about their service levels and what they expect, but we wouldn't preempt their ability to respond to anything on the train lines or the bus lines, and so I defer that to them.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Carlos Zapata from Telemundo again. I have a question if Claudia please can share with us in Spanish the request for sanding in the roads in Oak Cliff. Thank you very much.
311.
Sí, para reportar cualquier tipo de puentes que haya algún riesgo, se está asegurando de que haya lo que es la distribución de arena. Es una combinación de arena con sal y eso se está distribuyendo en todos los puentes y todas las vías principales. Y para cualquier reporte, todos se les invita a que marquen a la línea 311. Y eso es para hacer cualquier tipo de reporte 311. Y en este momento el tiempo es muy rápida la respuesta, así que se les invita a todos a reportar cualquier incidente a la línea 311. Gracias.
Claudia,
Sí.
ella mencionaba específicamente que han recibido llamadas que piden arena en la Berkeley, por ejemplo, en Clarendon. No sé si tienen más información sobre eso o lo quieren dejar así abierto de que la gente tiene que llamar a reportar dónde están los problemas para recibir arena.
Así es, no necesariamente estamos esperando de parte de la comunidad que hable a la línea 311. Sin embargo, está el refuerzo de todo lo que es el personal distribuido a través de todas las calles y en las avenidas principales, en donde se está cubriendo y asegurando de que esa arena en combinación con sal esté bien distribuida. Así que no se está esperando necesariamente a que la comunidad lo reporte.
Gracias.
De nada, Carlos. Saludos.
Hey, it's Everton Bailey with the Dallas Morning News again. I just have a follow-up question for clarity for Kevin Oden. You mentioned earlier that the city's first responders were responding to double the amount of traffic crashes that typically happen in a day. I'm sorry if I missed this, but do you have the actual numbers on that?
Yeah, well, I can run a report and get that to you. Right now I'm looking at a trend line of hour by hour what we're seeing versus what we normally see. But we can run a more detailed report if you'd like to see if we can get that to you quickly.
Yes, please. Thank you. I'll send a follow-up email.
And if there are any additional inquiries from the media, you can always reach us at media@dallas.gov. I believe that's all for today. So back to Rick, please. Thank you.